Good morning. Welcome to your program, Your Agenda. I'm your Cito Beltran. your Cito Beltran, your host. Thank you for joining us this 22nd of May 2023. It's a Monday. Medyo inaantok pa ang Kuya Cito, but thank you for joining us. And I do hope you're all feeling well, you are optimistic for the week, and you are in good health. Anyway, thank you, and especially to those who are Cignal TV subscribers, viewers of One News, and of course, those of you who watch Agenda, also those who follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. Okay. Now, we also want to say thank you, of course, to PLDT, Home Fiber Optic Internet, and the Philippine Star. Let's get on with the program for today's Daily Starter. This is something that I am pushing for among friends, so recommending, suggesting, and here it goes. No one is too busy, okay? Walang sobrang busy, okay? No one is too busy. It's not about finding time, it's about making time. If it really matters, you will make time. I just want to share on a personal note, I just want to share that I put this in application when recently I said to myself, this project has not taken off the ground. I had to fix my old car that would be our second car, and wala, nakatambak. It's been parked in the garage for months, and finally I said, unless I do this myself, unless I make time, I set aside the other things that I do on a regular basis, nothing will happen. And voila, okay, voila, we decided, okay, we will spend more time on this project, and it actually moved along really fast. Now, you might say, ito napakasimple. You know, it's simple to say in words. I'll make time, prioritize. The difference is actually doing it. Finding time is not the issue. Making time, whether it's for your family, for your wife, for your husband, okay, for your health. There are many people I know, and dear friends, don't get mad at me, but I have many friends who have time but won't make time to see their doctor, who won't go and have a checkup, etc. And then when they are at parties or gatherings or lunches, they go, I feel so bad, I feel so weak, my diabetes is this, etc. But they won't make time to have an executive checkup. They won't even go just for a regular consultation. You need to make time, not find time. Time will always be there, but you need to make it the priority. Your health, time with your family, time to finish a project, etc., etc. And thank you for making time to watch our program Agenda today. I promise you, okay, unless I mess up the interview, I am sure that our program today, our show for today, might just wake you up, okay? Especially if you are content, if you are complacent, if you are okay na. Yun po, okay? Yun yung problema. Why Filipinos, what is the problem? It used to be, in the Philippines, our problem was, pwede na. Pwede na yan, okay? But now, it's no longer about pwede na. A lot of Filipinos are saying, okay naman, okay na. We will discuss that with our friend who is very well versed with this topic, because he's the one who made this presentation that shocked the hell out of me. Anyway, we'll go to that later. But first, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star. And ayan po, umamin na. Okay, the front page of the Philippine Star today, May 22, 2023. The headline goes, Speaker of the House of Representatives says, House D-stab must be nipped in the bud. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara slams ambitious tambaloslos. Okay, ano ba yung storya na yan, Beltran? Well, apparently, after all the denials, it turns out that the political rumblings that happened in Congress last week, where former President GMA was demoted from senior deputy speaker down to plain deputy speaker and replaced by her kababayan, kaprobinsya pa, parang adding insult to injury. Turns out that it was all part of the Congress deciding to put a stop to a possible coup d'etat or D-stab. Okay, so ayan po, no? Speaker, House D-stab must be nipped in the bud. And so that in effect confirms what they denied. Wala raw problema. Ayun, may problema. Hindi na sila unity. Okay, hindi na sila united. Meanwhile, Vice President Sara Duterte has been posted cryptic statement on I don't know if it was Facebook or IG, but she referred to someone as the ambisyosong tambaloslos. Okay, tambaloslos in the Bisaya. I won't discuss it here on the show. Just look for a Bisayan friend. Ask them what tambaloslos means. Okay, kasi medyo talaga daw it is derogatory in nature. Okay. Teves 60-day suspension ends today. Fate uncertain. The 60-day suspension of Congressman Arnulfo Teves ends today, but it remains to be seen whether Congress will remove him from the roster of congressmen or will extend the suspension, etc., etc. Abangan ang susunod na kabanata. The top of the front page, you have a photo of the recent graduates, okay, members of the Philippine Military Academy Madasigon class tossed their shaku or dress uniform caps after they were formally commissioned as junior officers of the Armed Forces of the Philippines following graduation rites at Fort Gregorio del Pilar in Baguio City. Ayan. BBM tells PMA graduates, uphold democratic ideals. Okay. Below the headline, we have another news item and a photo. Marcos urges the public to conserve water and energy. Okay. Powering up the North, top executives of Ayala Group present to President Marcos the 160-megawatt Pagudpud wind farm on Friday. The 11.8 billion wind farm will be the country's largest source of energy upon completion by December 2025. With the president from left are Ilocos Norte Vice Governor Cecilia Araneta Marcos, Representative Ferdinand Alexander, Energy Secretary Rafael Lutilla, Ayala Corp Chairman Jaime Augusto Zobel de Ayala, Ayala Corp Special Advisor to the Board Fernando Zobel de Ayala, Ilocos Norte Representative Ferdinand Alexander Sandro Marcos, and ASEN Corporation President and CEO Eric Francia. Ayun po sila. Sama-sama dun sa Pagudpud. Okay, that's a beautiful place to go to. In case you have never been to that part of the country, beautiful place, nice beach. Okay, DTI, no price hike on basic goods. Consumers can expect no price increases for basic necessities and prime commodities in the near future, according to an official of the Department of Trade and Industry. Okay? We don't see an increase in prices anytime soon, at least for the basic necessities and prime commodities in our list. DTI Consumer Protection Group Undersecretary Ruth Castelo said over the weekend. And the Department of Agriculture claims rice supply enough during lean months. Okay. According to Undersecretary Leocadio Sebastian, more than 1.4 million metric tons of imported rice also arrived in the country from January to May 11, 2023. So, there is enough inventory. Okay. Meanwhile, okay, the photo there of ladies in a caravan, Binibining Pilipinas candidates join a parade at the Araneta Center in Cubao yesterday ahead of Coronation Night on May 28. And last but not the least, Angkas aims to generate 1 million jobs. Okay. Homegrown motorcycle taxi app Angkas has put forth a proposal that can empower the 18 million motorcycle owners in the country to become nanopreneurs or small business owners. Okay. Yun po. So we can only hope that when this is actually put into application, wag naman po sana lahat sa Metro Manila. Ikalat naman ninyo. Okay? Anyway, that's all the news we have for this 22nd day of May 2023, Monday. Let's now go to our interview for today. And like I said, this gentleman made a presentation several weeks ago and was supposed to come to the program, but he got sick. So he became ill. But during that presentation, he was supposed to give the good news, bright news about the economy. Okay. And he had a lot of nice news until it got closer and closer to home and became more and more personal to Filipinos. So medyo na-shock po ako kasi medyo natauhan tayo dahil we always complain about the Filipino mentality of pwede na. Okay, or pwede na yan, or make do. But unfortunately, it seems to have gotten worse. Let's find out what this is all about. Gabriel, please roll out the Betamax for our esteemed guest today.
Alvin Ang is the chairperson of Ateneo Department of Economics. He also headed various groups and offices such as the Philippine Economic Society and UST Research for Culture, Education, and Social Issues. Ang is currently a Fulbright visiting researcher at Georgetown University.
Okay, good morning. Hindi ko alam kung ano tatawag ko. Chairman ba? Professor ba?
Okay na yan.
Good morning, Chairman Alvin Ang, brother. Welcome to the program agenda.
Yes, thank you, Cito, for the invitation.
Okay, if you would just speak a little louder, medyo mahina yung ating audio. But in any case, Professor Alvin, you made a presentation at one of our events at Every Nation, the Transformation of Nation thing. And you were supposed to, based on the introduction, you're supposed to be one of three presenters, and you were tasked to bring the good news about the economy. And as you made your presentation, wow, pumapalakpak kami. Good presentation, good news. Biglang naiba, nagka-personalan. You started talking about the state of Filipinos, their minds, etc. But do you mind? Could you replay that presentation and tell us exactly what is our state of affairs and the concluding part of your presentation?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, more or less. I think I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, in that presentation, what I tried to share to everybody was that the Philippines actually is in good hands. Right now, our economy is doing well. In fact, autopilot. Without us doing anything, changing anything, we will grow. That is the good news I was sharing there, that the economy is bound to go back to its growth path, which will grow an average of 6.5% every year. That is something that is already like built in because of the nature of the structure that we are benefiting in the global economy, because of our service-oriented economy. The world needs a lot of services, and we can provide that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the challenge is not that. No, that's why when I made that presentation, I was also looking at other indicators, because we are concerned about the future. It's not about just us today. We will all be okay today. I think until 20 years, this kind of economic growth will trickle down. It will help pull people back up to middle class. But then the quality of that human capital in the future is my concern. And
quality of human capital.
And our food security. Those two things are the things that will, make it very challenging moving forward. So this kind of growth will not address our food security, will worsen our human capital. So we need to do something because we will be complacent. That's the reason that I'm worried. Actually, we're complacent now. Look, inflation was very high in the last few months, but is there social unrest? Don't see it because people have jobs. Actually, there's a lot of jobs right now.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you just say Angkas will create 1 million jobs. That's very possible. But what is the quality of that job that you will create out of that? Will that be something that will make a tricycle driver own a house? Will that make a tricycle driver bring his kids to school? Those are questions that I think we should be answering in the kind of growth that we have right now, because, as I mentioned there, the quality of human capital is threatened so much. Our under 5 stunting rate is one of the highest in ASEAN, meaning, as I mentioned there, the Tagalog word is bansot. But it's not just height, but it's the brain function. If the child did not develop the brain properly until 5, that's it, for life. Damage for life. So 30% of our children today still is facing that challenge.
Oh, yeah, because the people I interviewed when you fell ill, we brought in other speakers also. And it shocked me. It wasn't planned. It wasn't selected. We were getting from different topics, but they all talked about the same concern. They all talked about malnutrition. And sabi nga nung iba, like Toto Barcelona, for instance, he said,
Yes.
I'm not just talking about not eating the right foods. I'm talking about the same thing, stunting o bansot. I wrote about it in my column,
Yes,
Barangay 411.
Yeah.
And even Bu Chanko, our business editor, said, I've been writing about that for years and nobody is paying attention.
Exactly. That's the thing. This is not a challenge that happened this year. It has happened about starting to worsen 2 decades ago, 20 years ago. So I remember in that presentation, I showed you data over the years comparing our improvement with our regional peers. We were improving, no? But the rate of improvement is so slow compared to the others, no? So ibig sabihin, our effort is just to get by, no? Ito nga yung pwede na eh. No, the thing is, pwede na yan. We are improving naman eh. But it's not enough. No, this is a serious problem. And no wonder it is reflecting in the board exams. So teachers, I showed that data. On the average, the last 10 years, the average passing percentage of teachers in the board exam, 33%. No? One-third din. But was good news. Last week, buti na lang, umabot na ng 40. But I mean, I don't know if that's the improvement that we wanted to see. But we are looking at the data a decade back. So the average is one-third. So there are years na mas mataas, may years na mas mababa. So that means we are still in that trend, no? So we have to break that trend. Otherwise, we have teachers teaching but are not qualified, no? Or we will always have that perennial problem of getting teachers kasi the teachers who are teaching are not the quality or qualified ones.
Low quality mentors.
Oo, and then ano yung reflection nun? Diba? So it will,
You will
reflect.
produce low quality students.
Exactly.
Malnourished pa yung mga students.
Yun na, yan.
Okay, so is this, it sounds almost biblical. Those who have will have more, and those who have little will have none. Dahil, is it represented in the data that more and more, only the rich are getting ahead because they're eating well, they're nourished properly, etc., and they're getting all the right breaks. So we will have even more poor Filipinos in the coming years.
Yeah, siguro it's not necessarily mas maraming poor, but in terms of the income inequality, it will worsen. Because in that same data, I don't know if I was able to share it because of the time constraint. Then I was looking at an important survey made during the time of President Aquino, the Ambition 2040. Where you see that's a very good survey. If everyone would read the details of that, you will be surprised. No, because the only thing that were released out of that publicly was the aspirations of the Filipinos, but not the quality of thinking of Filipinos, which was very clear in that survey. Now, for example, people were asked, "Are you comfortable?" According to income class. Would you believe that the D and E class, 20% of them answered they are comfortable? They are poor, and yet they said they are comfortable. 20% of them. So you add them, ang laki no? And they are the biggest share of the people in society in this country. That means yun yung sinasabi ko, yung pwede na, no? Okay na yan, no? We have food today, okay na yan. Not thinking of moving forward, no, in the future. Kaya the inequality.
But, yeah, Professor Alvin, because let's make the distinction. Kasi you're much younger than me. In my generation, when we say pwede na, derogatory eh. Ang ibig sabihin nun, tamad ka. The quality of your work was, just to get by, pasang-awa, pwede na yan, pasang-awa, etc. But when you made your presentation about okay lang, okay na, it connotes something else. It was like acceptance of their situation, their condition, even if those things would, not be acceptable.
That's how I interpret it. Because, as I said, when I was younger, I realized when prices were high, people complain, and a lot of people will, really be noisy about it. No, we are not scandalized, but 700 pesos per kilo onion, we will complain in social media, but that's it. And we will make fun out of it, but there's no really, something that is worth on the average 100 pesos na lang, sabihin na natin, being priced at 700, isn't it, intrinsically something wrong, and then you will just make fun out of it. 'Di ba? So, yun
Yeah.
yung sinasabi ko, okay lang, okay na yun. 'Di ba? So yung mindset na ngayon na ganon, it's to me, um there's no looking forward eh. It's just to live by the day. Just get by. Kaya parang yung concept na pwede na is now a widespread thinking that anyway I will get by. That's it. I mean, I don't want to do anything that would take away what I can do today. That will make sure that my life is okay for today.
Day to day ang life, living day to day, no law. But is it really a mindset? Is it really a choice? Or because they're so busy trying to make it through the day, na hindi na nila wala na silang time to reflect on the quality? Because when you said na day to day, parang na-realize ko baka wala na silang oras mag-isip. Survival mode.
I think not necessarily survival mode, but yun na eh, no? Kinasanayan na eh. They just don't want to get out of that. That's comfort zone na yan eh. No, look, Cito, I watched some videos recently of MMDA apprehending yung mga illegal parking, yung mga motorcycle riders without a helmet, you know. And you know what these people will say? Pasensya na, pwede bang nakikiusap kami, you know, don't disturb our little life here. We're okay. We're not doing anything wrong. No, parang ganon. And it keeps on happening, and I can see the people in MMDs, particularly yung head nila doon, no? He's very frustrated because they all saying the same things. And it keeps on happening every day. No, parang status ko to eh. No, this is sabi ko, low level equilibrium. Equilibrium kami dito. We're okay here. We're living our life. We're not affecting other people. Let us live. Don't focus on us. Focus on other people who are not doing it right. Parang gano'n, no? Parang kami, exempt na kami dyan. I think if you think about it, yung distorted understanding of how life is, no, yung rule of law is may exemption yon, yung ganon. Ang daming significant things that people miss because they think they are exempted from these things because they're anyway just living their lives. Parang ganyan.
Okay, let's go for a quick break, Professor Alvin, and when we come back, himayin natin yung sinasabi mo. And paano nangyari? How did this come about? This complacency, acceptance of situation, and parang the failure to even react to the most oppressive, like 700 pesos for onion, 1,000 pesos for sili, etc. We'll go for a break. When we return, we'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program agenda. Are we all right, Gab? Okay, sorry, because I'm seeing this thing on the screen that was saying I was on mute. Okay, anyway, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program agenda. And with us is the chairperson of the Department of Economics for Ateneo de Manila University, our friend and brother in the Lord, Professor Alvin Ang, who is also a visiting Fulbright visiting researcher at Georgetown University. Okay, Professor Ang, thank you once again. Now, let's continue with our conversation. So, your observation relative to the presentation you made at Every Nation. First, you pointed out there are a lot of kids who are malnourished, stunted, and this is translating to below par performance. The intellect is compromised. Kumbaga, imbis na tumalino, na tawag nila nung panahon ko na pulpul, they became dull. And then, an even more disturbing observation that you pointed out, which I confess, even at my level, I have seen it, and I think at times I've been guilty of it. Yung okay na, okay lang ako. We mistake it as contentment, but being content and accepting the unacceptable are two different things, as you pointed out. 700 pesos na per kilo ang sibuyas, hindi ka pagalit. 1,000 na ang sili, hindi ka pagalit, etc. So, but where does this come from, Professor Ang?
Actually, Cito, I am also having challenges. Sabi ko nga, I'm asking my colleagues who are sociologists, no, anthropologists, psychologists, because this is in their realm, no? So,
yeah,
as economists, we only see data and why data is like this. But then, the interpretation at the personal level, family level, these are disturbing, because if they become like the norm, and it looks like it's becoming the norm, look, where will it lead us in the future? Because if everyone says, tatanggap ko na yan, you cannot do anything about it Hindi ba? Parang that is something naman na parang the generation, no? At least ako, umabol yata ako sa generation yun na don't accept things like just like that. They complain or they ask questions. Ngayon, nobody asks questions. They just, as I said, no, they make fun of it. And well, at some point, naging guilty rin ako dyan, no? Kasi parang, like you said, no, wala man akong magawa, yan na yun
Okay, you told a story of when you were, I think, in Ateneo or somewhere, and a visiting academician or scholar from another country went to you and said, Professor Alvin, why are your people like this? Why is it okay for them even if the other nations are passing them by? Parang naiwan. Could you tell that story? Medyo, yung maraming natauhan doon sa kwento mo na yun
Yeah, actually, I was visited by a colleague, no, from our region, no. And I was actually surprised. He wanted to see me. He's not an economist. He is a historian. So he historian, social analyst, something like that. Of course, he knows a little about economics. So he came to see me, and he wanted to know, like what I said, he is looking at data over the years, and he said, I'm surprised. The Philippines seems to be not running to move forward. It's either standing by, so that the others are simply overtaking it. So why do you think this is happening? And what is the reason for this? And what can you do about it? That was his question. And actually, I was so surprised because to come from a colleague from another country to observe that kind of an observation and tell it and ask question about it, medyo nahiya ako, no? I feel a little uneasy because I want to answer him as honest as I can, but at the same time, I would be saying the things that I just said, no? Na our culture or our society has become like this, I think, because it seems we are not scandalized by data, like we are last in reading. Wala. I mean, walang nangyari. We are last in mathematics. Parang nung sinasabi niya yon, we take pride in individual accomplishments, but not as a nation, which I think our neighbors are proud of, no, as a nation. Sumasama tayo sa exploits ng isang tao, pero hindi naman tayong ganun lahat, no? So
pag nakakuha ng gold medal, yung Pilipino daw na mukhang Afro-American, pag nakakuha ng medal yung tisoy na lumaki sa ibang bansa pero Pilipino daw, we are also proud. But as a nation, we don't have the pride that Singapore or Indonesia manifests along with their leaders. Kumbaga, we are neither proud of our leaders nor proud of our country.
Ganon, no? Parang ganyan, no? That's the thing that, it saddened me. And, there have been studies, marami naman nag-aral na eh. From James Fallows in the 80s, no? I'm sure you have seen that, damage culture, and a lot of other analysts have read and wrote about it. And the thing is, we all have read or seen it, and yet, ganun pa rin, no? Okay lang. So there should be some kind of a structural change, no, or a leadership stress on these things, not just to survive the days, the years, but to survive as a nation moving forward, no, particularly at this time when the things that are giving us a lot of opportunities are threatened by artificial intelligence, di ba? So the growth that I was saying that will continue for 20 years can be shortened because of artificial intelligence. So is it just training people? Kasi training people is short-term solution. But what about the future, beyond the people right now?
Yeah, you're the economist, and of course, you're not into politics, etc. But based on your studies, based on what you've come across, what's going to happen to us? You said we need to do something about our human capital, but what can we even do, given that in the Philippines, 5 or maybe even less than 5% of the population controls the entire nation?
Well, this is part of why we are sharing this information or this knowledge to others, particularly those who are belonging to that 5% or even 10% of the population. That, as you earn so much today, think about the others around you. What can you do to improve their lives? No, for example, it's not just corporate social responsibility. You should be doing more, because corporate social responsibility can only do so much, and only a little of population are affected. Baka you have to come up with a broader strategy to help others. No, for example, I know that the Management Association of the Philippines, for example, have now embarked on that malnutrition addressing program, as a group. But then, is that enough? Maybe we should think more. The others can also join that. And yung quality of our education moving forward. How do we also improve on that? Because it's not just a question. Every year, it's a question of infrastructure building, kulang ang classroom. That's just one part of it. But then, it must be the whole understanding, the whole picture of how education is delivered at a quality level. So it's also the teachers, it's also the health of the students, which are all there. Andiyan dyan lahat eh. It's just that it's treated independent of each other.
Yeah.
Parang ganon, no? So one is in charge of this, one is in charge of that.
Compartmentalized.
Exactly.
Kinakahon-kahon yung problema. Hindi, ito malnutrition, bigay mo ito sa Nutrition Council. Ito gawing CSR ng MAP, etc. Pero ito, but going back to my question earlier, medyo nag-break kasi tayo, nakalimutan ko i-follow up. I was asking you, this new form of pwede na. In my generation, it's pwede na, very shallow quality of work, excellence. But in this new generation, it's been rewarded to okay lang, okay na, acceptance of even the unacceptable. Are they doing this because they're too busy surviving? Kumbaga, problema ko na nga, magpakain ng pamilya, magpaaral ng anak, problemahin ka ba? Basta meron pumapasok, okay na.
Yeah, I think in a sense, yan nga, no? That's how things are happening in our D&E classes. No? They just need to make do for their families. And so they will not be worried about other things na. Let the politicians worry about that. Let our leaders worry about that. I will just be concerned with my family, parang ganon na mindset. And I think that's that's there, no? Kaya lang, look, sabi ko nga as I see it, it's there, but it's not that the poor are really without opportunities to do something different, no? Than what they are doing now. Pati yung middle class, no? Kasi sila rin busy. The middle class, busy kami. If the middle class is very busy working and trying to earn a living, hindi rin necessarily busy. Look at the weekends here. Look at how people spend money. Nito yung sinasabi ko there's income there is work, and that's why people just want to, if they have extra time, they would like to enjoy it.
Yeah, but Alvin, what happens if we're not able to correct this situation? Because you said it's the D&E class who are worse off. They don't have enough money. They're the ones who are suffering the greatest amount of stunting, malnutrition, denied most of the opportunities. What will happen? Because in my interviews, you mentioned it, food security. I wrote in my column today, wala nang food security in the Philippines. We are just compensating by importation.
Yeah.
What happens when food inflation just becomes so unaffordable for the D&E? Are we going to have either high criminality, or are we going to have unrest, political unrest or social unrest?
Well, that's the main thing that is trying to be avoided by government. Look, that's why they are trying to make sure that there is rice availability. Now, the most common is, onion is not naman every meal gagamitin. So yung mga ganon, sige, side muna yan. Let's make sure there is rice, there is bread. Yun ang pinaka-critical. And you have seen that supply has been stable and prices have been, in fact, been going down. And that's why they're moved. It's if you ensure that 60% of your inflation is basically food naman. So if you're addressing that, okay yan. That will be the case. And I believe that will be the focus of all governments, even after BBM, the next administration. They will, and there's been before, puro making sure that there is enough basic food, and the price will not spiral so much, no? So yun, yung ano na yun. And that is also like creating a picture na okay naman, may available naman, affordable naman. Yun. So
okay, but
sa food security yan.
I just read in the papers 60% of our gross domestic product, GDP ba yun, is now allotted to addressing loan payments. Yung budget natin, 60% is to loan payments. So you're down to 40%. the national government is the biggest employer, so even more is removed from that. How do you see the situation working out? You have limited funds being directed to addressing loans and debts, but you have almost runaway inflation for food, etc. At you said 60%. What's going to happen in the situation like that, economically speaking?
Mm-mm. Sige, adjust ko lang. Yung 60% na yun is actually the debt, no? The utang. The debt
Yeah.
to GDP is about 60%. Now, as economists, we are not, that is like, okay, may utang tayo. This is differently treated across among people, company, and government, no? Because the government can actually borrow, like what's happening in the United States, keeps on borrowing, no, to sustain their expenditures. That's not necessarily bad, even if it's large, as long as your economy is growing, meaning you are using that to expand the economy. So eventually, the income of the people will create more jobs, will create more businesses, and then those will come back as taxes. So as a share to total GDP, your debt will go down. No? Parang liliit yon. So that 60 is actually world means a standard na wag ka dapat lalagpas dyan. But many countries are over that. Japan is 200+%, Singapore is 100+%. But because they are financing their economy by borrowing, no, the government is borrowing. So that's something that is relative, can be addressed. The concern is if you keep on borrowing but is not using that borrowing to target strategic reforms that you want to do. Now, if
Like
it's just,
such as what in your mind?
for example, how do you address that malnutrition thing? No, I mean, if I'm going to borrow, parang if you're going to if you want to build a house that you don't have enough money, you borrow, right? Because you create a house is an investment that will reap values in the future. So ganun din sana. If we borrow for something that will create better capital in the future and add more capabilities to pay that debt in the future. No? So you're not supposed to borrow for everyday needs. That will make you suffer. You're borrowing just to pay salaries, for example. That is not the way to borrow. Like parang mga business, if they borrow to expand. No? If
Okay.
you borrow to consume, then you are not creating opportunities to pay it now. No? Parang you're just postponing the inevitable.
Para kang it's like borrowing money to give out as ayuda.
Oh, yun. If you give it out as ayuda, dapat pag inayuda mo siya, make sure that the ayuda is not just it's not just to get by, but there is something that is brought back to the economy. Yun. So hindi ka pwedeng umuutang for salary, for daily needs lang. No? So when we did that during the pandemic, necessity yun, because it's a really huge challenge, and many countries did that as well. But then it was the hope that the people who benefited from it will bring it back to the economy, no? Which should be the case.
Okay. Now, as far as this disturbing mentality in the Filipino or in the Philippines, where our neighbors are just outpacing us, leaving us behind in terms of growth, expansion, etc. As far as stunting, malnutrition, and as far as this okay lang, okay na mentality, who's supposed to be addressing that? Because mindset is dangerous. It's almost saying tamad. Pag hindi mo inalis ang tamad, if you do not remove the mindset of laziness, you will have no forward movement, you have no progress. Whose responsibility is that? And have you or your associates taken it up with officials of government?
We have not done it, but I think it is something that leadership can address by if admitting that this is a problem, no, if we have our leaders say we have a problem like this, and we need to, if it's integratedly shown that this problem cannot be solved by one agency, two agencies, we have to work together. No, so I think it's not necessarily the president. For example, if the Secretary of Education, yung mga education related will say, it's not enough that we do this, you have to help us, private sector will help us, people will help us, no? What is the role of media, social media? Because these are all integrating, no? And ang tawag doon, it can either worsen it or propagate it to, to levels like seeing na this is culture now, eh. So, it's not necessarily to want to say na tigil natin to, wag na. No, but is it possible that we can, I will look at it from the positive perspective. How can we make Filipinos dream together for a better future? No, not just to live by the day.
Okay.
Yung ganon, parang how do we do that?
Well, let's go for one quick break, our last break for the program. And when we come back, I'd like you to answer your own question. How do we do that, Professor Alvin Ang, Ateneo de Manila, Department of Economics? We'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, welcome back to the program Agenda. With us is the chairman of the Department of Economics, Ateneo de Manila University, Professor Alvin Ang. Professor Alvin, you said, how do we do it? Now, can you answer? How do we solve this problem? This wrong mindset, this malnutrition, this we are left behind situation for the Philippines?
Okay, siguro we start by, like I started it by jump starting it in seminars, no, and in conferences. I think more people who are prominent, who are able to, make people think about it, should be doing it. Not me, not just me, no. I think all of us should be like you start to write it in your column, in your guest. It has to be a national, raising national consciousness about it. See, it's just there, eh. It's just there. It's been there, and people just shrug it off because if people who are not in power or who are not in influencer mode will do it, it will just be the noise, no? But if an influencer per se or a politician, media personality, those who are people listen to will say it and will appeal, no? It is something that will, create consciousness, eh. Kasi I don't know, ordinary people will not even think of it.
Well, clearly, you're very correct there, Professor Ang, because I was just I just happened to glance on a news item where President Marcos has issued an executive order reorganizing the interagency task force on zero hunger. So he has now come up with a memorandum order tasking the DSWD, the National Nutrition Council, and if I'm not mistaken, the Department of Agriculture to get their heads together and come up with the solutions. So clearly the message is reaching Malacanang. It is reaching the national government but in this case, they're only talking about people going hungry for the first quarter of 2023. Now, what other areas should we be addressing? We're down to our last minute with you, but if you were asked by the decision makers, what should we do? What else should we do?
Well, yeah, that one is really have a national consciousness about these things, because I don't think people understand it. No? Information and explanation of what it means and what it will do to our children in the future and to the society in the future. No? Second, I think very important is yung food security. We really have to address it relatedly, because this is contributing to the stunting, the hunger is contributed to by food security. Because if food is not available locally, we are importing it, it will take time to reach everyone. So the way to do it is to make sure that food is generated everywhere in this country. And you see news of overproduction of this, of that, and they just throw it away. Why is that so? Because there is no integrated strategy, no knowledge of what one province is planting and what another province is planting, kahit magkalayo sila. If we just have a national on real-time database of this food, walang masasayang. If you have extra onions or extra tomato, tell it to the central DA and DA will get it from you and sell it to another province.
Or even better, just give it to the tricycle driver, give it to the basurero,
Exactly.
give it to the poor people who are sweeping your streets, and be a blessing to others. Anyway, Professor Alvin, we've run out of time, but don't be surprised if we call on you again, because we need people like you to wake us up, make us aware, and make us realize that hindi pwede na, and it is not okay lang if we are being made to pay exorbitant prices, live in squalor, or have a low quality of life. But you are a blessing. Thank you very much for doing your studies and sharing your concerns with the public. Professor Alvin Ang, Ateneo de Manila.
Thank you so much, Cito, and to everyone who watched today. God bless you.
God bless you, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, that's Professor Alvin Ang, chairman of the Department of Economics of Ateneo de Manila. And, just to reiterate, nung panahon po ng tatay ko, panahon namin, sinasabi, pwede na. But now, mas masahol pa ho. It is worse when you say it is okay, it's all right, if you are being charged 10 times what you should be paying, etc., being mistreated or having to live such low quality of life, that's wrong. That is not okay. Let's now go to our prayer and blessing for this week. And I do hope you take it to heart. It is from the book of John, chapter 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. May you have a peaceful day, a peaceful week. God bless all of you. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you, asking you, please cover us in your prayers and as well as the Team Agenda family members. God bless you. Please keep it here on One News.